Shabbat Shalom, Mashmakah.
Shabbat Shalom.
And the water for joining us today. The water to the Abanawa Yahawah by Sham, Malak Yahawashi, Wahamashiach, for waking us up this morning so we could do the word of the Most High and be his vessel and bring out this word. The water for taking a flag, King. Have a blessed day. Be safe on that skateboard. Some people ain't paying attention when they're driving. If we could start with Colossians 3 and 16, Baba Kasha. Bring it out.
This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verses 16 and 17. Let the word of Hamashiach dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord, Yahawashi, giving thanks to Yahawah and the Father by him.
That's right. He let it be known right there. That's how we're going to start it. All word and deed to the Most High. By Shem Yahawashi, his only son, that the world ignorantly calls Jesus. I wanted to start this Shabbat by bringing out a few things that the Most High put on my spirit this week. Last week, I talked about prayer and the etymology of it. And I had thought, you know what? Next week, I'm going to talk about fasting. The week after that, I'm going to talk about meditating, Salakia. And that was foolish of me to think that I was going to map out next week and the week after. Because the Most High let me know this week, this is what you're going to talk about. And I humbled myself down and said, oh yeah. I didn't even double think when I started making them plans, that them plans might not come into fruition. I was thinking like a man. I was thinking carnally. But the water that the Most High reached out to my spirit and said, this is what I want you to bring out. And how that came about was I was watching a couple videos from some other Akim. Some of you guys may know Monologue Magad from down south, I believe Georgia, Atlanta area perhaps. Recently, he had put together a, if I say it right, Salakia, or if I say it incorrectly, Salakia, I believe it was Fringed Up Family Fest. And when I seen him advertising that, I was like, man, that looks cool. That looks nice. They're going to have bouncy houses for the kids. They're going to have food. They're going to have vendors. They're going to have music artists from Yasharala. I was like, man, that's great, you know, because we got all this wicked festivals and folly going on in our town here in Spokane, Washington, that I wouldn't want to be a part of, because in my eyes, from what the Bible tells me, that's folly and that's wickedness. So to see a brother in Yasharala coming out of his own pocket and doing the will of the Most High to bring Yasharala together in one spot in good deed and good peace and through the word, like Colossians said, through the Most High and Yahawah Mashiach, I was like, man, that's awesome. And then it happened, the festival happened, and from listening to Monologue Magad, he was like, hey, it was great. You know, we had 800 plus Israelites out there. It was peaceful. There wasn't no drama. But he did bring up a negative point that he goes, you know, while I was out there, Salakia, let this motorcycle pass by. It's kind of loud. Don't want to cover what I'm trying to bring out. So the Monologue Magad was talking about how, you know, him and his people put this festival together for the families to come together to be peace and to promote Israelite vendors, to promote independent businesses in that community, to bring out the people. And he said it was great to have Israelites there. He said it was great to have people who weren't Israelites maybe just see what was going on and come out and take part in it in peace and in love. And unfortunately, he said there was some folks that, you know, had some negative feedback about prices, had negative feedback about people who were wearing tassels or zeets instead of fringes. Sisters were wearing pants instead of dresses. And he brought up a good point. He's like, you know what? He's like, there's people that are teaching the word, which is great. He's like, and sometimes some of us only focus on Esau is the devil. Hate the devil, hate the wicked ways. And that's all good and all, but he brought up a good point. He said, we also need to teach our brothers how to love each other, how to be better Israelites for each other, how to lift up each other, not always just putting each other down, not always just looking at them up and down and trying to figure out something that they're not doing better or that you do better and say, hey, why are you wearing zeets? You should be wearing fringes. Or why is your wife in pants? She should be wearing a dress. Now, I understand the laws, but sometimes a lot of us aren't there yet. Me, I'm a little less than 2 years in this truth. And I'm happy that the Most High has humbled me and blessed me to be where I'm at to do the things that I'm able to do. But I really felt what Monologue was bringing out when he was saying that. Because I was like, yeah, let's lift up our brothers. Let's teach each other how to love and not hate. Let's teach each other how to, teach each other the words correctly rather than just downing a brother and creating this division between us. So, also, my wife is taking care of her mother who just recently had a liver transplant, and she was telling me this week, she was like, I went to go get some food for me and my mom, and this young, she believed he was an Issacharite brother. She said this young brother just cut right in front of me and ordered his food, and she goes, that really upset me. And she goes, the young kid looked back and gave her a disrespectful look, and she goes, I wanted to do this, I wanted to say that, and I was like, well, I'm glad you didn't, darling. I said, people are going to be how they're going to be, and we can't react to that. We can't let that mess up our spirit. I said, the best thing you can do is pray for the brother. And I said, and just remember that the Most High is going to deal with who he's going to deal with, not in front of us to give us immediate gratification of knowing that the people that wronged us are going to get their justice. But I said, just have trust in the Most High. I said, go home, pray, read the Proverbs, and don't let that consume you. And so watching that video from Monologue Magad and hearing that story from my wife, I was like, man, I think the Most High is telling me something. I think the Most High is telling me to bring it out about how we can lift up our brothers and how we can self-reflect on ourselves and see where we're falling short and how we can do better. So I want to start. Oh, bring it out, King. You got it.
I just wanted to touch on one point, if I may, King.
Come on.
Just what the brother's saying, it's in the spirit, not all of us are at the same levels as everybody else. That's not even logical to even think that everyone is going to have the same understanding and have already arrived. That's not logical or even sound to even think that way. So I want to read 1 Corinthians chapter 3.
Bring it out.
And I'm going to start at verse 6. It says, I have planted, Apollos watered, but Yahawah gave the increase. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but Yahawah that giveth the increase. So in other words, Paul's giving us some wisdom here to help us to understand, like Isaiah said in Isaiah 28:10, he says, here a little, and there a little. See, we're growing in this faith, we're abounding. Some brothers woke up yesterday. They're not going to have the full knowledge and understanding as a brother that has been in the faith for 10 years. So we have to be patient with each other like the brother's going into. That's in the spirit, King. I just wanted to touch on that.
God, the water for bringing out. And that's exactly it. We don't know the next man's position or their level of understanding. And so for us to show love first rather than just judgment off the bat, let's talk to one each another. Let's find out where we're at in the spirit to help build each other up.
That's right.
So if I can I start with Proverbs 25 and 28, Baba Kasha? The spirit, baby, bring it out.
So that's 25:8?
25 and 28, Baba Kasha.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 25 and verse 28.
Bring it out.
He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
Khan. And right there, he that cannot control his spirit is like a city with no, that can't guard his walls. And that reminded me of what my wife was saying, because I was telling her, I'm glad that gentleman didn't bring you out of your spirit to get angry, to yell at him or cuss at him and cause a scene and whatnot. And so that scripture came to mind, and I had to break it down like I do by looking at the root words, by looking at the etymology. And so I know sometimes we read the Bible, we read these precepts, and we say, well, it's right there, it's plain in English, and that's all it is. But we got to remember, this was written in ancient Paleo Hebrew.
That's
Back
right.
then, it wasn't ancient, it was just Hebrew. But we got to know that those words back then had a lot stronger meaning than how they're being brought out today in modern day English. So that's why the Most High blesses my spirit to say, peel back that onion, check out them layers, let the next man know, because they might not be educated or edified as long as I have, or not have that full understanding. So the first word out of that precept I looked into was spirit. And so in the Hebrew and Greek, it means wind or breath. I know modern times when we think spirit, we're thinking, oh, that's their soul, that's that thing we don't see. And those are correct too. But in Greek and Hebrew, what it meant was your wind or your breath. And so the biblical definition was a noun, has it listed as non-material ego in special relationships. Now, looking at that situation my wife was in, that could have been her wind. That could have been her breath. She could have easily got out of her spirit and started saying madness stuff that would have caused trouble. And that, again, is part of the ego. She didn't let her ego get the best of her and come out of character. So she controlled her spirit. And I thank the Most High for blessing her to be able to do that, so that something negative doesn't happen in that small situation of just getting some food. And so the Strong's definition of that is H7307, and they have that as the Ruah, if I'm saying that correctly. Ruah, the water. And so that also has it as a sensible or even violent exhalation. Figuratively, dang, I'm having a hard time saying stuff. Figuratively, life, anger, unsubstantiality by extension. And that's exactly what that precept was talking about controlling your spirit. Don't let it bring you out of your anger. Don't let it be a violent exaltation. Hold your peace. Be at peace. Guard your city. Use those walls. Use that hedge of protection that the Most High blesses us with when we stay in the Word. When we make sure we're studying, make sure we're praying, make sure we're observing the law, statutes, and commandments. The Most High already said in the precept that He's going to provide us with a hedge of protection. And He's going to put us through things so that we learn to grow and learn how to control our spirit. And so the other part of that story is, my wife said that the food place, they seen that this young man cut in front of her. And so without telling my wife, they served her food first before that young man. And so the end of her story to me was, yeah, the guy was nice enough. He's seen that young kid cut in front of me and was rude, so he gave my food before him. And I was like, see, darling, the Most High took care of you. The Most High let that gentleman see what you were going through, and what is right and what's wrong is wrong. And so He let you get your food before that kid. So while that kid was being impatient, jumping in front of you, he still got his food after you.
Don't do that, man.
So all praise to the Most High for being there and doing that.
We don't want to have to check you. Check yourself before we have to.
Let them know. That's in the spirit. We gotta control our spirit, because things like this will happen. People like this are about us. Those spirits are wandering, testing us, seeing how we're gonna hold our peace, and the Most High is gonna give us that hedge of protection, and not let us come out of our spirit, not let us react in anger, not let us be something that the world wants us to be when they see us on the streets and they cross the street or hold their purses or roll up their window or lock their doors. Let them be in fear. We're not in fear. We're not doing nothing wrong. We're not going to we're not going to react how the world thinks we're going to, how they expect us to, so that we can get behind the walls while they're out having fun, breaking laws and not getting any punishment from their people. But as we know, the Most High will bring that justice to those who deserve it on His timing, not our timing. When we aren't looking, that's going to happen. I don't need to see my enemy get crushed for me to have glory. Just knowing that the Most High is going to take care of His business gives me glory enough. Bring it out, King.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8, verse 11.
Wake him up.
Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
There you go. Right there. And it says it plainly. The water for bringing that out, King. The other part of that precept that we brought out in Proverbs. What am I thinking? Slakia. So the word was city, and that is H5893. The pronunciation is ear. The root word for city is a place guarded by waking or watch in the widest sense, to rouse oneself awake. And the word rule is H4623 Masa'ir, if I'm saying that correctly. And that has it as a definition of restraint and control. So that precept lets us know we need to control our spirit. Although we can't control the situation, we can't control the environment that we're in, we need to control ourselves.
That's right.
We need to be in the righteous spirit that the Most High has blessed us with, and to understand through these precepts. So similarly to the story I brought out about my wife being at the food store, getting some food, also to what Monologue Bagad was talking about, is when we're around each other, let's embrace that good company, that righteous company, and let those good spirits dwell in all of us, rather than getting out of our spirit and judging a brother for a trivial matter, because they're doing their best. We're all just trying to be together in love, because we're already getting judged and justice, getting judged and treated unfairly in this wicked world that we live in. So if I could please go on to Proverbs 16 and 32, Baba Kasha, I'll get to my next precept.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, and verse 32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city.
The Wada. And that precept there, it has some of those same words we just discussed. City, spirit. But the words I highlighted out of this precept was anger. Because I know in the world previous to the truth, I was always angry. I thrived off my anger. I thrived off hate. I loved walking around having that angry face, making sure people seen that I was angry. And I appreciated when they walked across the street. I appreciated when they held their purse a little tighter. I appreciated when they rolled up their windows and locked their doors. But you know what? By me acting like that, I got a lot of unnecessary treatment that I was only calling down upon myself. Whether it was being harassed by the police, going to jail, I did that to myself because I was walking around in anger. And so now that I'm in the truth and I know how to control my spirit, I don't walk around with that anger. I don't have that hate. I walk around in love with the truth that the Most High loves me. So I got to return that to my brothers and show them a happy face. And so the word in that was anger, and that is Strong's H639, and that has the pronunciation as af. And the definition for anger in the Blue Letter Bible was the nose or nostril, hence the face, the forehead, and wrath. Now, just when I read that, I was like, man, that's exactly how you see anger in somebody's face. The way their nostrils curl up, they get inflared, their forehead, their eyebrows get bent down. So I was like, man, that's mighty right there. And when we read that precept, we just see the word anger, and we're thinking, I'm not angry. But if we read that precept, and then we go look at our face and see how it changes and see how it turns, then we know we're acting out incorrectly. We're letting our spirit get out of character. We're letting our anger control our spirit, which is not right. So that precept is mighty to back off the previous precept about controlling our anger. The other part of that, the other words that were in there that really stuck out to me was the word better. Because like I know for myself, I always want to improve. I haven't reached my full potential in this truth. The more I study, the more I pray, the more I hang out with my fellow Israelites, the more I network with Yasharallah and other camps so that I can show them the brotherly love from 12 Gates Israelites to their camp, whether it be Sakari, IUIC, the 12 Stones of Yasharallah, the Malachium. I want to show love to all my Israelites so we could all build together.
That's right.
And that's all part of that word for me of better, doing better. I don't want to just limit myself to my congregation and say, hey, we got it, we're doing good. I don't want to know you, I don't want to hear what you have to teach. I want to learn from everybody. I want to take what the Most High has blessed their spirit with to bring out and let my mind soak that up, let my heart receive it. So that word better in the Blue Letter Bible has it as Strong's definition H2896. And that definition or pronunciation, Slakia, was tov. And that is good, pleasant, agreeable to the senses. And so when I read that definition, it made me think of that other precept that says, We got to soak up this word and eat it like a whole roll. And I was like, the senses, the whole roll. I wonder why the Most High compared the word to a whole roll and didn't say, think of the word as the best job you ever had. Think of the word as your favorite car. Think of the word as your favorite pair of slacks. He said the whole roll. And reading the definition for better, when it talks about agreeable to the senses, I thought about that roll and I was like, food, a roll, if it's cooked right, it'll look good to my eyes, which is a visual sense. It'll smell good because it's cooked right and it's got those good ingredients to my aromatic senses. And when I take a bite, if it's cooked right and it's righteous, it's gonna have that great delicious taste, which the word does have. If I don't add so myself, which is the taste, which is the sense of our taste. And so that's why I felt like, man, that's why Yahawah is perfect, man, because he knows how to bring it out so that we understand it. So that word better was agreeable to the senses. And when we're acting in good spirit and we're doing better, that's going to be agreeable to other people's senses. They're going to see us in a better light. They're going to receive us in a better light. They're going to want to hug us. They're going to want to shake us. They're going to want to talk to us. They're going to want to listen to us. And all those are those good senses that the Most High has blessed us with to use and to receive.
Got a quick precept.
Bring it out, King.
It's the book of John, chapter 6, and verse 48. And these are the words of Yahawashi.
Yeah, Yahawashi.
I am that bread of life.
There you go. Yahawashi is the bread of life. That good bread.
That's right.
Not that moldy bread. Not that stale bread. Not that bread that wasn't in the oven long enough to let the yeast rise and make it fantastic. Yahawashi is that good bread. And that's the bread I want. The other part of that definition was also rich, valuable in estimation. And that was associated with the word better. And when I thought about rich, I was like, are they talking about money? Nah, couldn't be talking about money. So then that brought me to the precept of James 2 and 5. So if I could have somebody read James 2 and 5, Baba Kasha.
This is the book of James, chapter 2 and verse 5.
Bring it out.
Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not Yahawah chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom, which he hath promised to them that love him?
Khan. And right there he said rich in faith. Not rich in money. Not rich in materialistic things, but rich in faith. And so I attributed that rich in that definition to the word better, because we want to do better in this life with our faith and our works. And when I looked up that word rich in the Bible, a majority of the times that the word rich was used was mostly in a negative context, talking about how the rich man can't get through the needle of the eye with his camel, and the rich, and I'm paraphrasing, Salakia, and the rich having those materialistic things that make them vain. And I was like, man, that's crazy that every time rich is mentioned, is talking about materialistic, it's talking about vain glory, it's talking about evil intentions. But then when he talks about rich with faith, I was like, man, that's righteous. That to me is better. That to me is tov. So the other part of that precept that the Ak brought out in Proverbs was the word mighty. And that was Strong's definition, H1368, which had the pronunciation of Gibor. And that mighty, I know a lot of us might know what mighty means, but in that sense, it had it as strong, brave, powerful, warrior, and champion. So if we go back to that precept in Proverbs, it was talking about being slow to anger and controlling your spirit. And the person that is slow to anger is more mighty. It is better to control your anger, because you would be better than the mighty that can overtake a city. So when it says mighty, it's not talking about a good connotation. It's saying being slow to anger is better than being mighty, being better than brave, being better than strong, to control your spirit. So that to me spoke volumes. And if I could go to my next precept, can I please get Ephesians 6 and 12? Bakasha.
It's the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, and verse 12.
Bring it out.
It reads, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world."
Water King. And that right there. Oh, do you have more on that?
Yeah.
Bring it out. Bring it out. Salaki.
Against spiritual wickedness in high places.
That's right. That's right. And so, if you could catch the losing my words here, the theme of what I'm trying to bring out: control your spirit. Don't be angry. Just like that precept said, we're not battling the flesh, or Slakia. We are battling the flesh to go against it. That we got to go with the principalities, and those principalities we find in the Bible for us as Yasharallah, because we can't act like the other nations and just go off our feelings or be effeminate and just gossip and just speak at the lip wildly and letting our spirit go. We need to hold on to those principalities so that we don't be like our oppressors and oppress each other. So when we see our brothers doing wrong, come at them in love. Bring that discussion. Talk about it. Don't just come in hate. Don't just come in anger. Don't come in that negative spirit that you're better than them because you have a better understanding or your Zaquan is more thorough and they got more years. We got to love each other and build each other up through love, through the righteous spirit. Be better. And so in that precept, it brought out the words powers, rulers, darkness, wickedness in high places. And that to me is our oppressors. We experience that. And I know sometimes in relationships, whether it be with our parents, our friends, our loved ones, if we're getting crapped on, we're going to go to the next person and we're going to crap on them. And that's exactly what our oppressor's been doing us. Crapping on us, so then we go crap on our own people. We got to change that. We got to stop that. We got to be in that good spirit. We got to be better. We got to control our anger. Slow to anger. And let's be better than the mighty people who just want to act out of frustration and anger and attack and end up getting horrible justice later. I numbered my notes this time so I know which direction to flip the notebook.
All praises.
Bring it out, King.
I struggled last week, but the Most High made me better this week.
That's right.
That's the power of Most High, Yahweh. So the next precept, could I please have Proverbs 17:4? Baba Kasha.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 17, and verse 4.
Bring it out.
It reads, "Whoso mocketh the poor, reproacheth," Salakia, Proverbs 17:4. "A wicked doer giveth heed to false lips, and a liar giveth ear to a naughty tongue."
Khan, the water. And so, again, I'm bringing this stuff out because I want us to self-examine what we're doing wrong, what we could do better. So if I'm acting wicked, or if I'm giving ear to things that are false, or if I speak a lying tongue on my brother by trying to judge him unrighteously because I think he's not doing something right, I'm being in the wrong. I need to check myself. I don't want to be wicked. I don't want to do unrighteous judgment. I don't want to be a lying tongue and tell other people, well, he was doing this instead of this. That's not cool. That ain't going to help nobody. That's not going to help me look better in Yasharallah. That's not going to help my brother grow. If anything, that might turn him away.
Right.
And then who's responsible for that? Me. Who's going to get judgment on that? Me. And that would be righteously so if I did that. Because Most High is perfect. He knows what he's doing. I didn't know what I was doing. So in that precept, the words that I highlighted was wicked. That is Strong's H7489. And if I have that pronunciation correctly, it's Ra'ah. And that's to be bad, evil, displeasing, sad, hurt, mischief, vex, and be worse. Now, when we think of wicked, of course we think of bad. Of course we think of evil. But do we think that we're being displeasing? Do we understand that we're sad when we're doing that, or that we're hurt and that's why we're doing that? I didn't think of that. But when I used to be in the world and I used to be wicked, it was only, 20 years later when I understood that finally, and was like, dang, I was hurting everybody else because I was hurt. Because I was ashamed of how I was brought up. I was ashamed of the things that I went through. And I was I was hurt and I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to correct that hurt. The only thing I knew was to hurt other people. And that's not who I want to be today. And that's not who I think the Most High wants Yasharallah to be.
Hallelujah.
We don't want to be wicked to each other because we're hurting. If we're hurting, let's self-examine why we're hurting. Let's talk to our Ak. Let's talk to our elders. Let's talk to our Zaquan. Let's reach out to another camp even maybe. Just say, hey man, here's what I've experienced. Help me out. Give me some precepts. Help me grow. Help me be better. Bring my spirit back into righteousness. We can't be ashamed to ask for help. And so I don't want to be wicked. The other word in there is deception, disappoint, fraud, wrong, false in tongue, in vain. And with those words, that's easily to. Oh, I'm sorry. The word was liar. The word was liar in that precept, and that was Strong's 8267. And the biblical definition of liar is deception, disappoint, fraud, wrong, false tongue, in vain. And then that brought me to another precept. So if I could please have someone bring out Galatians 5:26. Baba Kasha. So in that precept, we've seen wicked, liar.
It's the book of Galatians, chapter 5, and verse 26.
Bring it out.
And it reads, let us not be Slakia. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another.
There you go. And that right there, again, it reminds me of what Monologue Magad was talking about when he was saying at the fest, you know, you had some people maybe not being in their best spirit and not showing a love to their brother. And they might have thought they were doing right. But with vainglory and that precept, it shows, you know, don't seek that. Don't try to build yourself up by knocking the brother down. You know what I mean? Because again, we experience that every day in this wicked city, in Babylon, through oppression. We experience that. I get it. But we can't get out of that by doing that to the next person. I don't know if you guys ever seen that picture where one guy's digging a hole and throwing the dirt, and while the other guy's trying to get out, all that dirt that the other guy's digging out is just burying him more. We don't want to be that. We want to help each other. We want to work together to lift each other up, bring each other up out of this oppression, and be in the right spirit. So Tawada for bringing that out. I'll go to my next page. I went backwards. See? Good thing I got a number. So the one not the one, Monologue Magad bring out a few precepts in that video, but the one that he brought out, I was like, ooh, I said, I got to touch on this. Also in that video, he challenged us. He was like, I challenge you guys to teach how to love, to teach how to build each other up, not just teach who the devil is and all their wickedness, because we know that, we experience that, we see that. So the precept that Monologue Magad bring out was Proverbs 15:1. So if I could have a bring that out, Baba Kasha. Proverbs 15:1.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 15 and verse 1.
Bring it out.
A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger.
There you go, right there. And when he brought that out, I was like, oh man, that's mighty. That's mighty. And you know, we don't always know that. We haven't learned that through our upbringing. We haven't learned that in our broken homes. We haven't learned that in oppression. We haven't learned that. Rarely do we get talked to with soft words from our oppressors. We get told, don't do this, don't do that. Spread your legs. Wider. You know what I mean? They're asking us to do more than what we can. So with that one, it says, have a soft answer. Don't stir up anger with grievous words. And so with that, I looked up those words. The word soft. In Strong's, the definition is H7390. And that pronunciation, if I'm saying it correctly, is rach. And that means tender, delicate, gentle. And that's understandable. You know, when we talk to people, let's be more tender. Let's be more gentle. If someone has something to say to us, okay, I don't know what they're going through. I don't know what their spirit's going through. But let me not add on to that by stirring up anger with grievous words. Let me give them a soft answer. Let me start off saying, Anya Habatan King, Tawada for bringing that to my attention. I love you. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Let's match levels. Let's talk like men should and be at peace with one another. Because when we do that, the Most High will be there with us. But when we're not being righteous or we're being angry and we're arguing, yelling, elevating our voices, guess who ain't there? The Most High. He's like, I ain't got time for that. And so the next word in that precept was the word answer. And that in Strong's is H4617. And the pronunciation was ma'aneh, if I'm saying that correctly. And that, the definition is to reply, refutation, the action of proving statement or theory to be wrong or false. And so when we're giving a soft answer, that's what we're doing. We're trying to just talk about what's right or what's wrong about what's being said to us when we reply. We don't just add that fuel to the fire and get angry and say, well, you did this and you did that and last week and last year, because that's not going to get us nowhere. Again, a soft answer. On Yahawah King, the water bring that to my attention. I didn't realize that. Bring out a precept. Let me hear that, and let's break it down, and let's come to an understanding. Let the Most High intercede in our discussion and bring us both to better understanding. Let it better our spirit so I know how to deal with my brother when I turn this corner. Because like I said, we didn't learn a lot of this stuff growing up. So of course, I don't expect us to know it now. But if we're teaching each other the right way through the Spirit of the Most High, then let us receive it wholeheartedly through the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the Most High Yahawah. The next word in that precept was wrath, and that is Strong's H2534, and the pronunciation, if I have that correct, is kaima. And the word wrath, the definition in there is heat, rage, hot displeasure, indignation, poison, and furious. And that wrath, that's exactly what I used to experience. Just get hot, get angry. I felt like a snake ready to put my poison in somebody. Just bite their head off, just be angry. But when I was doing that, I didn't think, how's this person going to react? They might be bigger than me and whoop my butt. But I wasn't thinking that because I just want to be angry. I just want to be hurtful. But on the flip side, if I let my anger get the best of me, maybe I hurt that person. Maybe I hit them and they hit their head and then they're in a coma. I wasn't expecting that. But that's the kind of stuff that happens when we're not thinking through. But that's the kind of stuff that the Most High will make us go through so that we do learn. Go sit down for 5 years. Go sit down for 10 years. Think about what you did. And hopefully we do. We come out and be better. Hopefully we come out and understand what it was that we did wrong so we become a better person and we don't suffer persecution in these streets and blame other people. Let's take responsibility for our actions. I did wrong, I suffered. I do right, then I need to teach my brothers how to do right, how to be better. So let me go to my next page, Lakia. Well, the water monologue began for putting that fringed up family fest together. Yahawah willing, one day we could participate and make it out there. At the water for bringing out that precept, but most of all, at the water for changing my perspective on how I teach. I want to teach love. I want to teach how we all can be better. I want to teach our brothers to be in the spirit and let that pass on, pay it forward, so to speak. So the water. The other word in that precept was grievous. And that Strong's definition was H6089. And that pronunciation was etzesev. And grievous, the definition was pain, hurtful, sorrow, labor, hardship, offense. And as I read these definitions for these simple words that we think we all know, it makes me think deeper. It makes me think deeper about these precepts and what they're really saying to us. What is the Most High really saying to us in these precepts? Yeah, we could read it in the English language and we're like, okay, I know what that means. But again, for me, I had to peel back those layers. I had to see what that one word is associated with. And like this one said, pain, hurt. When we're being grievous, it's a reflection of our own pain, our own hurt. So let's not do that. Let's not be grievous to one another. Let's be joyful. Let's be love. Let's be uplifting. Excuse me, sir. Could I ask you to just stand to the side? The water. We just got a camera behind you. I don't know if you've seen that. We appreciate it. So the next precept I'd like to bring out is Matthew 5 and 9, Baba Kasha. And again, I'm looking at all these precepts, and it may not sound like I'm uplifting you, but I had to look at myself and how I used to be and how I don't want to be. And I used to be wicked. I used to be hurt. I used to be angry. And like the old saying goes, misery loves company. Because I was miserable, I wanted to make everybody else miserable. But now that I'm in the truth, that's not what it's about. I need to lift up my people. I need to give the love that the Most High has showed me. So that's why I'm bringing these precepts out, so we can reflect on ourselves as Yasharallah and how we're treating the next man and how we can do better. Bring that out, King.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 5, and you said we're going first, what?
Verse 9.
Book of Matthew, chapter 5, and verse 9, the words of Yahawashi.
Khan.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of Yahawah.
There you go. And so that lets us know again, blessed are the peacemakers. Not blessed are the wicked. Not blessed are the hateful. Not blessed are the ones that are conniving and looking to build themselves up because they're trying to bring others down. That's not what I heard when he read that. He said, blessed are the peacemakers. So again, I'm going to bring out those words that stuck out to me. And I'm going to peel back the layers so I can see what it was the Most High was really trying to tell us with these words that were translated into modern day English. So blessed, Strong's G3107. And if I'm saying the pronunciation correctly, Mak-ar-Eos, if that's pronunciated right. So blessed, the definition in the Blue Letter Bible is happy, fortunate, well off. And when I see that, I don't think in terms of, oh, I'm going to be rich because I'm nice to everybody. No, I'm going to be well off because I'm in good spirits. Because the Most High is going to keep me happy. The Most High is going to bring me people who I can help by spreading that love, spreading that joy. Not put me in situations where I'm constantly angry, constantly mad. I need to stir up love in my people, not stir up grievousness. The other word in that precept is peacemakers. And that is Strong's G1518. And if I'm saying this pronunciation correctly, it's Ire-nap-oyos. And if I'm not saying it correctly, I encourage everybody to check out the Blue Letter Bible and click on the interliners. And if you click on the little speaker, you'll hear the guy say it. And I was listening to these last night, and I was saying it over and over, and I was thinking, hopefully I remember how to say that. But if I'm not, I just want to encourage you to go listen to it. Go hear it. Let it meditate on your spirit. Let it soak inside your spirit. Let it wake that spirit up and hear those words that we should be used to. So the definitions for peacemakers is loving peace. And then the word Pacific. And I was like, the ocean? The Pacific Ocean is peacemaker? So then I had to go look up the word Pacific in the dictionary for definition. And Pacific actually means peaceful in character or intent. So again, a peacemaker is someone that is peaceful in character or intent. So if I'm walking around that festival that Ma'ak put up, and I have that peacemaking intent, or if I have that good character of being peaceful, I might have an easier time uplifting my brothers rather than bringing them down and saying, oh, why'd you go spend $300 on Jordans, but you can't buy the $10 soda that Monologue Magad had to come out of pocket and trying to support this event with, but you want to complain. You know what I mean?
I would scrutinize it.
God. You know what I mean? In the world, I spent a lot of money ignorantly on stuff that had no value whatsoever. But I thought, oh, if people saw me in that, they would think this or they would think that. So again, let's go with that good character, that peaceful intent when we're dealing with our own. And if we're buying stuff and they have a certain price, if we can't afford it, I get it. But if you want to support your Akim or your Akwathium's business, support them. Because when we were in the world, we were spending money on crazy brands that didn't care about us. So we should appreciate that we're supporting our brothers and sisters by promoting their craft and giving our hard work earned money to another hard worker in the nation. So let's do better about that. If a brother is charging a certain amount, let's respect that. Let's not haggle. Let's not say, oh, like the precept, roughly paraphrasing, I got a good deal on this, but I'm haggling and saying, oh, well, it's only this. Let me get this price. Let's have good peace intent when we're dealing with our brothers and sisters. So, so this is going to be the precept Matthew 18 and 4, Baba Kashah, the words of Yahawashi. Well, I kind of ended with these precepts because it's it's Yahawashi, the Son of God, talking to us now, telling us how to be better. So Baba Kashah, bring that out. 18 and 4.
Khan, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 4.
Khan.
Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven.
There you go. So Yahawashi said, whoever humbles himself like a little child. He didn't say whoever's the mightiest that could take over cities, like that other precept said. He said whoever's humble like a child. And so someone that's humble like a child could probably control their spirit, can probably be slow to anger. And that is who the most Yahawashi Salakia is talking about, as a humble child. If I could please have Matthew 18 and 6, and I'm going to stay in this chapter for a little bit.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 18, and verse 6.
Bring it out.
The words of Yahawashi.
That's right.
But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hung about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea.
There you go. Yahawashi ain't playing. He gave it to you right there. The good with the bad. He's telling you to be humble. If someone comes at you not humble, don't let them get you out of your spirit. Because he's saying it's better to be humble and as a child than to be angry. Because he told you, if you want to be angry, you want to be mean-spirited, it's going to be better that you have something heavy around your neck and you go drown in the waters. Struggle like that. Try to breathe underwater. Try to swim with something heavy around your neck. Yahawashi gave you the good with the bad right there in one precept. Khan. And right there, don't offend somebody. So think about what you're going to say before you say it. And if it accidentally comes out, and once you hear it, you reflect on these precepts we brought out and say, you know what? I might have spoke too soon. Salakia. Forgive me, brother. I didn't mean it how I said it, but let me explain why I'm hurt and why that hurt me, or why I'm displeased and why I'm saying this. Communicate with your brothers. Do not offend them.
That's right.
Come with that humble spirit. If we can go down to verse 33 in Matthew 18, Baba Kashah. 33.
Wow. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 18, and verse 33.
Bring it out.
The words of Yahawashi. Shouldest not thou also have had compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I had pity on thee?
There you go. And the Most High, and as we know, Yahawashi was the living example for Yasharallah to follow. And he's saying right there to his followers. And if you guys are familiar with this chapter, I skipped a lot of it, so Salakia, but I encourage you guys to read chapter 18 all the way and understand the context of what he's saying and who he's saying it to. Because there's a gentleman who, I'm paraphrasing Salakia, who Yahawashi was being courteous to. And then this Israelite had another Israelite owe him money, and he was being grievous to him. He was being offensive to him. And then that's why Yahawashi is saying, didn't I show compassion to you? You need to show compassion to your brothers, like I had for you. And so that's why I'm saying, when we're going to events that our brothers put on, when we're at close proximity with our brothers and sisters, have that compassion for your brother and sister that Yahawashi had for us. He had compassion enough to die for our sins. Now, I'm not asking you to go die for your sins, but if you do, that's a righteous act. And those are some very serious circumstances when a situation like that comes about. Now, I know some of us have been in those situations, and we've made it out alive, but we stuck up for our brothers and sisters for a righteous cause. And the Most High sees that. And that makes you a strong spirit for being able to do that. But that's what the Yahawashi is saying. Have compassion. So when we deal with each other, don't be so angry. Don't be so judgmental. Righteous judgment is righteous judgment. But being a jerk is being a jerk too.
Bring it out.
And I haven't found that precept, but I understand it. Luke 18. Con, and we'll bring that out just shortly. But what I want to say is, have compassion. Be merciful. Have mercy. Don't hold mercy in your back pocket and say, if you do this, that, this, and third, I got all these stipulations for you to do before I give you this mercy. That's not what Yahawashi said. Yahawashi said, have compassion. Have mercy. Don't hold it hostage. Don't make somebody live up to your earthly, carnal, fleshly standards to make them feel like they're appeasing to you. We're not here to please man. We're here to please the Most High.
That's right.
We're here to please Yahawashi. We're here to do the laws, statutes, and commandments wholeheartedly, the best we can while in this captivity, as the Bible explains it to us. And again, if we don't have that full understanding, talk to your Akim, talk to your Zaquanium, talk to your elders, reach out to camps, get that understanding, pray, meditate, fast. Let the Yahawashi bless you, baptize you with fire, the Word, the Holy Spirit, so you gain that understanding.
That's right.
Bring that precept down, Baba Shah and Luke, the water. Khan, bring it out.
So this is Psalms 89, verse 1 and 2. I will sing of the mercies of the Lord forever. With my mouth will I make known thy faithfulness to all generations. For I have said, mercy shall be built up forever. Thy faithfulness shalt thou establish in the very heavens.
There you go. And we already know faith is dead without works. And mercy, I would consider that a work. So if we're showing mercy, that's us showing our faithfulness. And that's what the brother was bringing out, talking about in that precept. So the water came to bring that out. Did you want to bring out the Luke 14?
God, I can bring it up.
Baba Kasha?
This is the book of Luke, chapter 18, starting at verse 10.
Wake him up.
2 men went up in the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee, and the other a publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee, that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican standing afar off would not lift up his would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified, rather than the other. For everyone that exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted.
There you go. That was mighty. That was mighty. Go out and bring that out, King. And there you go. Don't be a Pharisee. Don't point your finger at the next person, because like the old saying goes, you point one finger at me, you got 3 pointing back at yourself.
That's right.
So before we start pointing fingers, let's reflect on ourselves. Let's meditate on these precepts. Let's offer up prayer for that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So Tawada King, I appreciate you bringing that out. And so from that precept, the word compassion, I looked that up in Strong's, and that was G1653, and that was mercy, to bring help in word or deed. So again, let's have mercy. Let's be that help to our brothers in word or in deed. You need to buy him a water. You need to hook him up with some fringes because all he has is one pair of tassels. Or you want to buy him some tassels because he ain't got nothing, because tassels might be cheaper than a fringe shirt. Let's do those deeds. Let's build. Let's not just bring each other down with silly stuff. If I can, could I please get Leviticus 19 and 18? Baba Kasha.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 19.
That's 19:18.
Bring it out.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 18.
The water, bring it out.
Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord.
Hallelujah.
There you go. There you go. Well, in the beginning, we started with precepts to show how we shouldn't be. In the end, I'm leaving with words, precepts from Yahawashi saying how we should be. And that's love. That's mercy. That's compassion.
Teacher.
And so from that precept, we got the words love. And that's Strong's H157. And as some of us may know, that's ahab. And ahab, the definition of love in the Blue Letter Bible, is righteousness. We want to be righteous. Let us be righteous in the Most High's eyes. Let us have the mercy that Yahawashi showed us. And so the other word in that precept was neighbor. Because when it's in that precept, it's not saying the guy who lives next door to you or the lady in the next door in the apartment over. Although, again, when we read these words, we think, oh, neighbor, he's just talking about people that live in my community. The people who live up the street from me, my community. That's not what he's talking about. In there, it's the word Strong's H7453. And if I'm pronouncing that correctly, it's Rhea. And that definition is fellow citizen. And citizen is a person of a nation, as I understand it. And so, when it's talking about our neighbors is Yasharallah.
That's right.
Our neighbors are not the other nations. Our neighbors is Yashar Allah, Israel, the one that Yahawah said are his chosen people.
Wake them up, Bach.
The ones that we are supposed to wake up. Like Yahawashi says, roughly paraphrasing, I come only for the lost sheep of Israel. I didn't come for the lost sheep of Moab. I didn't come for the lost sheep of Ammon. I didn't come for the lost sheep of Ishmael. I didn't come for the lost sheep of Esau. I came for the lost sheep of Israel. So we need to do better for our neighbors, Yasharallah, our Akia, our Aquathia, our Zaquania, our elders, the younger generation of Yasharallah being born every day in this truth. Kol halayam abanawa Yahawah Bashem Malak Yahawashi Hamashiach, for letting this new generation of children being born into this wicked world only knowing the truth of Yahawah, not the wickedness, not the folly. Bless those little kids. Bless those little kids being brought up in the truth. And bless the parents who are learning the truth and passing it on to those kids. Because the next generation is going to be strong, is going to be mighty. But most importantly, they're going to be doers of the word of Yahawah, Ba'ashem Yahawashi. So Tawada for letting me bring out these definitions, bring out these precepts, and most importantly, Tawada to Abanawa Yahawah, Ba'ashem Malak Yahawashi, for putting it on my spirit to sit in my house, peace and quiet that he provides me to turn these pages of his book and gain some wisdom and getting the Holy Spirit to sup with my spirit so I can bring it out for my Akia, for my Akhwathia, for my Zaquania, for the congregations who are doing this work for the Most High. And Tawada to Monologue Magad again for bringing out that fest and basically bringing out this challenge for me to be a better Ak in this truth, to uplift my people, to show love to my brothers, to show love to my sisters, because that's what we need in this wicked world of hate and folly. We need more love. And who's going to do that? Yasharallah. So with that, I yield my time, and I want to say Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwam Yasharallah.
I yield my time.
All praises.
That one was fucking
Mighty in the spirit, King.